I remember when I first started my firm, I was freaking out the first probably 4 to 6 months in terms of how little time I had to make huge decisions. Now I'm comfortable with it and it's cool. I get like some things you're going to get right, some things you're going to get wrong, some things are in the middle. I don't know. I think that's a big reason why a lot of lawyers don't want to do what we want to do. They don't want to run firms. They want to get a paycheck and go home. Hey there, everyone. I'm Tom Bosworth, and this is the City of Brotherly Law. Welcome to Philly's Legal Pulse, where we chat with some of the city's and the country's best attorneys about what's really going on in our courts and our communities. Let's dive in and see what's brewing in the City of Brotherly Law. Jennifer Gore.
How are you?
I'm living the dream. How are you?
Excellent. It's a great day to be a lawyer here in America.
Is it though?
No, actually, it's a little tough. We're dealing with tort reform down here, but
Oh yeah, what's up with that? I keep seeing Georgia pop up, but what are they trying to limit damages or something?
yeah, they're trying to do a couple things. One of the things that they're trying to do, which I'm highly concerned about, is limit negligent security protections and laws down here. So that's going to make Atlanta more dangerous. Currently, you can put up evidence of, broken gates, lack of cameras, different things to prove that the security wasn't adequate. They want to change it to there had to be a prior similar crime. You like that standard,
I
Tom?
don't like it at all. I think it's terrible. Yeah,
You've done
why?
cases on negligent security, right?
Yeah, I've done them. But that seems like a really specific thing for lobbyists to go after.
Well, I mean, they're trying to angle that it's pro-business.
Right. And pro
So,
real
oh,
estate and
the landlords, the nightclubs, it's too much of a burden on them. But we know that as lawyers, that's ridiculous, you know?
but
And
by the way, I'm going to Atlanta tomorrow.
I know you just told me today.
I know, I've never been there, but I don't
You
know
told
what
me.
never. I don't know what to do. I feel like if I don't see at least one rapper, like if I don't see Gucci or Quavo, like I gotta see somebody that I like.
There's a lot,
They gotta be there. Like they're
there's a few things that people want to do when they come to Atlanta.
just leave it at that.
We'll
Okay.
leave it at that.
10-4. Um, so you've been somebody who has been a mentor slash friend to me in the legal field and you're someone who's a trailblazer,
Oh, that's very
someone who
kind.
seriously, he was like just an absolute rock star. And I know you continue to smash ceilings and keep moving forward and upward. What's the latest in the life of Jen Gore?
Well, just joined Sweet James, so that's been a big thing going on here, merging with a very large law firm out from the West Coast. But I think when we met, what did we meet? Like a year ago?
Yes, in Las Vegas, I think.
That was so random that we met in Vegas. We both just happened to be in Vegas at the exact same time. I feel like both of our lives have changed so dramatically in 1 year. It's hard to even recognize.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, what was that conference? Was it TLU?
It was TLU, but you were not attending TLU. You were like
I
going
don't
on a
know what I was
podcast.
doing. Oh yeah, I was going on the podcast. Yeah.
And I feel like you were at like the very beginning of maybe your own firm.
Yeah.
When did you start your own firm?
November 2022.
Yeah, so you were kind of like still in that first like few years, and I feel like in the last year you've really ramped up.
I think so, yeah. I think I'm gonna retire.
Are you?
I'm just kidding.
You
Yeah.
have, I can't imagine you retired.
I wouldn't I I'd be like my grandfather, like walking around like finding things to do. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Do you think that like that idea of like retirement has like lost some of its allure for our generation.
You mean now that the country's in shambles and there's nothing to like actually hang your hat on at the end of the day? Just kidding. But I, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I have no like major goals to retire. I
Me
mean,
neither.
like as long as I can, if you, I mean, obviously people would like to get to a point where work is optional and you're not working for the money, right? But I think if you have something to contribute and you have value and you get like joy from the work you're doing, it would be ideal to continue to do that in some capacity. And I think there's a lot of studies that if you have a purpose, you have a more fulfilling life. I don't know, retirement is not like my main goal.
No, me neither.
But when we met in Vegas, we got along right away, and I feel like I don't know, somehow I started coaching you.
Yeah, it kind of just happened like that.
Yeah.
I think I was just spilling my whole life to you, and then you were just like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." And I just literally like first time we ever met, I'm like, and yeah, people, something about you. It's like people will just tell you anything, I think.
It's a
Is that just
very,
me? It can't just be me.
no, it's a very important skill to have as a lawyer as well.
Yeah, but it's obviously an inherent gift of yours because it's like 3 minutes in, it's like yeah, so and during my childhood, and then you're like, what am I don't even know this person.
People say that to me all the time, like, I don't know why I'm telling you this.
That's a superpower.
And like, I think I make people feel comfortable, and then I'm really curious. So I always ask people, like, tell me more. They're like waiting for somewhere they can you know, like tell these things to, I guess. And I somehow become that person.
Well, when we met, I know that I was going through it in my professional life with let's just say a conflict, so to speak, with some other lawyers. And you were like you you listened to me, but you also added a perspective that I hadn't really. You were like, wow, you're really like, I forget what you said, but you made me like think about it different.
Yeah, I mean, I think you were really public at the time on TikTok about what you were going through. So, like, I had some context for that. I think that's how I had seen some of your videos of you going through, you know, this t t tough time in your professional career, but you were very out there with it. I don't know if you've now signed like an NDA and we can't discuss it, but, like, it was pretty much out there, Tom.
That's what people say. I've heard it. I've heard. I don't know. I don't remember.
That's a closed chapter now, right?
That chapter is closed. Yeah.
Do you feel um like you've started a whole new fresh chapter now? Because that went on for a couple of years.
Yeah. I feel like a huge like weights off my shoulders. And now it's just focusing on being better and growing and learning and winning cases. It's just which
Which
is
is what
all I want to do. Like it's just refreshing and fun. So,
I think I know what we talked about in Vegas. We
uh-oh.
talked about how like when you're a person like a lawyer or an adversary, like how you can create controversy all over your whole life
Yep.
and
That
like in
is.
your personal life. And like, like it can be dysfunctional, right?
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it too. So
Really?
yeah, I mean, I think you have to choose your battles in life, right?
Yeah.
Because like we could find a way to like make everything super, super difficult.
Have you been fighting with your new merged firm? Are you being nice to
No,
them?
thank God. You know, it's just been a really wild year because I've been going through my divorce. I've been pretty public about that. My divorce just literally finalized last Friday. You
Congratulations.
know, you have heard that story from me before, but um, it can be like emotionally draining to be dealing with major life events all at once. But I'm also like a really big proponent that divorce can be a really amazing thing.
Yeah, like if you're not married to the right person.
Yeah, unfortunately. And I've gone out as far to say, like, I'm not here to like negatively talk about my ex or anything like that. I want to be respectful, but I do think that this is a very taboo topic, and a lot of people are dealing with this, and I've tried to illuminate some parts of it that it's okay, it's good, it's can be a great thing to get to the freedom on the other side of divorce.
Yeah. I also think, I don't know if you agree with me, but lawyers are traditionally like, I don't know. I feel like we're a group of people that are always supposed to like have it together or at least appear that way,
Yeah.
whatever that means. And I feel like that contributes to people not talking about stuff.
Yeah, it's like this perfectionism or yeah, just like trying to always like appear like you have it all together. It's not reality. But I also think like going through challenges, whether it be a divorce or a merger or an issue with your business or whatever it is, it's like an opportunity to like grow and to like hard times can bring out like good things in a person. Like, it's like life is, what is that saying? Like smooth sailing didn't make a good sailor or something like that.
You're
Like
the,
after all this, I feel like I can do anything. Like,
well, you can,
don't
and
you
you
feel
are.
that when you've gone through something and you overcome it, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
standing,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I felt like that probably when I got sober
You were
when I
telling me
when I
that
was
as
22
well.
years old.
You've been sober for a very long time. How does that like the lawyer industry is very alcohol driven.
And other things, dried goods, etc. But no, I think people assume I'm like a square when I tell them I'm sober or I don't drink. So that's
No,
like
no.
the funniest thing because they're like, "Oh, like have you ever?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, uh-huh." Like, but it's yeah, I've had to like face all that difficult stuff without a vice. Um, Not that other people use drugs and alcohol the same way, but it's yeah. I mean, like when I was going through difficult times, it's just nowhere to run. But so you have to kind of like look inward and introspect, and it's kind of just part of the game, I think, going
But
through
like
pain.
now, like you're so many years down this road, like is it still like a struggle?
No, not in terms of no, I don't. In other words, I don't have temptation or urges to drink or do any of that. Thank God. Um, and I can go anywhere. I don't. I like going out. I like having like being around people. So like it doesn't bother me to be around people, but drinking or whatever. But um, yeah, it's I still have to pinch myself because when I first got sober, I was like 22 in college. Like I thought
Very
my
young.
life was going down the drain. Because I was going down a different path, and now I'm like, is it imposter syndrome? I don't know what they call it. I don't think I have it all the time, but sometimes I'm like, wait, do I own a law firm?
Really?
Wow, is someone gonna someone gonna come in and like shut this down or like no, it's just I don't know. I just think growing up it was just never really something I thought I could do or would do. I didn't even think I
A
could be
law
a
firm?
or even be a lawyer. Like it was just something in the that other people did.
It's so interesting. I think you told me that story when we first met and like how you don't have like lawyers in your family, right?
Right.
Um, I didn't have lawyers in my family, but with my upbringing, my dad was like the opposite, where he would always tell me. like you're gonna be a CEO, you're gonna be someone important, you're gonna like he would always tell me that. And I know you have a daughter. And I tell my kids this too. And so like every time like I was anywhere, I was like always like expecting like why? Like the first time I opened my law office and I had like one intern there, I would come there every day and I'd be like, what's going on here? Like, I should have like 20 people here. Like, why? So like, I do think your expectation of your life, like sets a tone. And I don't know, like, I really, I'm really big into visualization. I'm really big into manifestation, vision boards, and like so much of my life, like if I put it out there, like it's come true, you know?
How early did you start doing that? Like the visualizing the manif did you do that before you law school, or is that something you kind of started to do later?
Well, like I said, I do think like the way I was raised was very weird, where my dad would just always tell me like he was constantly perpetually disappointed that I wasn't living up to my full value or purpose. Like you could be an Olympian, you could be whatever. Like he just always thinks I could do anything, and I'm always like underutilizing my talent. So I think that dysfunctional weird thing has been a good thing in my life actually. But I really got big into mindset coaching probably in 2016, 2018. I was in a bunch of business coaching programs and they had like a few people that were doing mindset coaching, and I was noticing all those people were making like way more money and their firms were growing 10 times faster. So I'm very like results oriented. So I'm like, okay, I'll just go do this because I want the results. And as I followed that trail, you kind of like start to realize the way you think controls a lot of your business. And I coach a couple law firms now, and I will agree wholeheartedly that, a lot of the decisions that are holding a business back, it's because the person is not making decisions quick enough. They're hesitating, they lack like some type of confidence. And if you can like solve some of those issues, your business will just grow a lot faster.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was,
Or
yeah.
like people overly involve their emotions in their business. Like I
Mm.
was on a call this week with two people that own law firms, and they're like, no, they have to fire someone. And yet they're like, but I feel bad, but like I can't. Like it's like this negotiation of like how they're gonna, they don't really want to deal with it. They don't, and then it's like harming the law firm.
Right.
I'm sure you've been in that situation before.
Yep. And I'm like the slowest to act and the one who's like people are like, no, we really need to do this. And I'm like, I have this, I don't know what you want to call it, weakness or character defect where I'm like, oh, but I don't want them to be mad at me.
That
And
is
it's like, that's not like good because literally this person gave me 700 reasons to let them go. It was like an ongoing thing, and nobody in the world would have disagreed, but I still have that thing. That's like my problem. That's my issue of like,
and it transcends the law firm. It's like literally what you just described is what three people this week told me they're dealing with. Like this is so universal with law firm owners. And it's weird because I wouldn't say you're the type of person that's conflict avoidant. Like you're not, right? Um, but what do you think it is that like it makes you feel like bad?
I'm not conflict of, I guess I'm not conflict avoidant when I think the person on the other side is like a bad actor. Which is like if it's a yeah, which is not, I'm not saying it's right, but if they're like if you're like a corporate CEO who's like hiding like evidence that you're murdering people like with toxins, I'm not conflict avoidant. If you're a jerk lawyer that works for an insurance company that tries to screw people over, I'm not conflict. But like, growing up in a working class family, I want people I like, I'm like, oh,
Inherited.
how
Yeah.
hardworking, you need you have a job. And it's like, but it's like, as a business owner, it's harmful to the firm and to
And the
clients
clients.
and the clients. Yeah. Yeah.
And one thing that I learned over many years was this concept that with team members, there's three criteria which you have to judge their performance. And it's, do they get what we're trying to do? It's kind of easy to tell. Do they want to do what, they need to do? And then the third one, which I think is the most illuminating, is do they have the capacity to do it? And there's some great people that get it, want it, but they literally don't have the capacity to do that job. And you can give them all the training, all the, you know, and it's like those people are hard to let go because it's not for lack of like drive or desire, but like they don't have the capacity to do the job at a high level. And I do think it's worse to drag that out and you know, it's better to just say, listen, this is not working. It's kinder to be clear, it's kinder to be to the point, and it's like that's the reality of running a business is that anybody can take $1 million and you know if you spend 1 million to make 1 million, you're not really that savvy. The whole point of a business is that you run it efficiently to the point where there's money left over at the end for growth or for profit or whatever. And that's where people get stuck is they don't make decisions fast enough, and then the whole business starts to grind to a halt,
Mm.
you know? And like with law firms, you can kind of be mediocre and run a law firm and still have profit. In other industries, you can't do that. Like if you owned a restaurant or some of these low margin businesses, law firms traditionally have much higher profit margins. So you see a lot of bizarre behavior because even if you kind of run it shitty, it still kind of
That's a
runs over.
great point. There's like a lot, you can make a lot of money being not that great as a lawyer. It's kind of scary.
Well, it also hurts our entire industry because you'll see people mismanaging people, mispaying people, not having good standards. And then those people are working in those environments and then they come work in our firm. And if our firm is run well, it like kind of, it's like, well, they didn't have any standards at my old firm. Great, thank you. Now I have to unwind all that,
Mm.
you know?
What do you see? Do you see like patterns in the people you coach or the lawyers that you coach?
Owners of law firms, yeah.
Yeah. Do you see patterns that run through, or is everybody different? I mean, obviously everyone's different, but I was just thinking.
Yeah, but there are a lot of patterns, and even in my own journey, there's been a lot of patterns. I've been coached by a lot of people, and I've sat in on a lot of masterminds, and I've sat in where people dissect their business, and it's a lot of lawyers are not trained at running businesses. Like all the skills you need to be a great manager, like where did you learn? Like where in law school did they teach that? Which is kind of crazy since like 80% of lawyers end up owning their own firm or something. It's very high. So, also I think a lot of the like traits that make you a great lawyer don't make you a good business owner.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
the part of my success is I move very fast and I make a lot of decisions. And even if I make some that are wrong, I usually will outpace other people. But like the average lawyer is so slow to make a decision. Overanalyzing. Like you can't do that with like a newsletter.
Yeah.
The marginal benefit is so low.
I remember when I first started my firm, I was freaking out the first probably 4 to 6 months in terms of how little time I had to make huge decisions. Now I'm comfortable with it and it's cool. I get like some things you're going to get right, some things you're going to get wrong, some things are in the middle. But at the begin, I mean, I want to smack myself, my old associate self, where I was like, complaining, I gotta get this brief to the partner. It's like, dude, when you start your own firm, you're like, I need to pay for this, I need to buy this, I need to hire this person, but you might do all that in 12 hours. You don't have time to, like you said, marinate over everything, which I don't know. I think that's a big reason why a lot of lawyers don't want to do what we want to do. They don't want to run firms. They want to get it. And I'm not throwing shade, but they want to get a paycheck and go home. Because
And I love
running
those
the
people.
show is not,
We
it's
need those
not,
people,
yeah.
Tom. Will they come work for you or me? I love those people.
Yeah.
I need people like that who are just focused on the legal work because it's a lot of work to run a firm. It's a lot of work, and I think that it's under it's less glamorous than people would think,
Hmm.
you know? But I mean, it also has a lot of perks too. You have a lot of freedom, you have a lot of autonomy. But you know, everything comes with the pros and the cons. There's also a lot of responsibility. A lot of people you're responsible for. The decisions you make have effects on other people's lives. Um, I've made every mistake. I've made every mistake you can make. But the main thing is like how quickly can you bounce back? How quickly can you pivot, adjust? A lot of times we're riding the bike while we're building it, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
And you have to be kind of okay with that level of uncertainty too.
Yeah.
You're having fun growing your firm.
It's great.
Are you being
No,
facetious?
I'm serious. I have, how many lawyers do we have now? Six?
I think when I met you in Vegas, I was like, Tom, you need more lawyers.
I know.
And,
I'm,
right? And you
yeah.
were just hiring like your first lawyer.
Hmm.
And you were like, yeah, that sounds right.
Very nonchalant.
Yeah,
Yeah. This guy I hired, he's like a kid, but he tried a case with me 2 weeks out of out of passing the bar.
it's
And
amazing.
we got a $15 million verdict. And
But you're also like kind of an anomaly.
in what
You
way?
know that, right?
What do you mean?
Like, okay, take the majority of lawyers in your area. Not all of them have verdicts like you have. He acts like he doesn't know what I'm talking about.
I, well, thanks. That's nice. I think it's true.
Yeah, and also the ambition that you have and like what you're trying to build over there, you know, that's not the typical mentality of every lawyer there.
Right. Is it more, um, it seems like Atlanta is a competitive market for lawyers.
I mean, people ask me this and it's like I've only ever practiced law here in Atlanta and I've only ever lived here since I was a lawyer. So, and I'm from New York. So, like it's a bizarre question to me because like number one, I don't focus on what other people are doing. You know, I'm very focused on am I doing better than I did last year? Because you really have no idea what other people are really doing or what numbers are real or whatever. I mean, verdicts and stuff, yeah, but I'm talking about like just different things that you might hear about what someone's doing.
Right.
Even verdicts, you don't know if they collected that money.
True.
So I just don't have a huge focus on what other people are doing. And I think like I grew up in New York. New York is like one of the most competitive places in the world. So like competition doesn't scare me. I really, really remember learning this lesson when I was a waitress in college. I walked in and I took a look at all the waitresses there and I thought, I can outwork every single one of these people. And even
Mhm.
if like the number one waitress there, I could unseat her if I wanted to. And I think like there is always room for someone who wants to work at a certain level and who wants to be diligent because the average person is not even giving like 80%. So like my mentality is like there's always room for a top performer in any market. And I think you're an example of that, right?
I just, I remember when I got to law school, I was saying this to someone else today. I just looked around and I felt like I didn't belong. Um,
You don't feel you belong there?
not at all. I felt
In
like
what way?
it just it seemed like everybody else had the playbook and I didn't, and that they were somehow connected, or their dad was a lawyer, or their mom was a judge, or they such and such, or they worked for this senator. And I'm like, yeah, I would you? I'm like, yeah, I waited tables that last summer,
You
and
should have come to my law school. I went to night law school.
that's what the real adults are. Yeah,
Yeah, my law school was very like grinder, people that are working in law firms all throughout the day. They're there at night. I'm like, these are my people.
well, yeah, but I out hustled everybody.
What?
I said I out hustled everybody.
You out hustled everybody, but I think now you probably have the confidence that you can do that, right?
Yeah,
Like that's become evident to you at this point.
yeah. Well, yeah, but it's like it wasn't an overnight matter.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the greatest thing that I had going for me at the time was my work ethic. Like I was always confident that I could work. And I think that comes from my upbringing. And I think a lot, like, I don't know, I also always have the feeling like I belong wherever I go.
That's
Like,
good.
I'm here, I belong. Like, if I'm here, I belong here, you know? And I'm really trying to push that with my kids, but it's a hard thing to instill. Um, but yeah, I don't I think it's no, this is one thing I've had. I've been in many rooms with people that own $100 million law firms, huge law firms. And I've had the experience of like looking around and going, these people are smart, but like they're not smarter than me. Like, like they're just people, you know, they're just people that made certain decisions that other people didn't make. And I just think a lot of life is about the confidence you have in your ability to do things. And like confidence comes from adversity and overcoming those things. And like when you consistently face challenges, like I went through a lot of bad shit in my life, I think when I was under 21. And I think you did too. And some of that confidence for me comes from just like I went through a lot of bad shit and I survived it all. And
Hmm.
so like when you go through that kind of stuff, you're like, okay, it's good,
For sure. Yeah.
you know? But, you know, like if you give me enough time, I can do anything if I put my mind to it. And if you take that approach, like it just works. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, I've been told we need to wrap up, which is, yeah, they give that it's
Time
like a,
to wrap it up.
yeah. So I'm so glad that you came on. This is my first day doing any podcast. Couldn't have asked for a better guest. So
Well,
I appreciate you.
you're a pro here. I still love your podcast with Maria from Law Rank.
It's one
That
for
was
the ages.
amazing. Thank you so much for having me. Hopefully we'll see you here in Atlanta.
Yes, for sure.
Safe travels on the plane.
Thanks, Jen. And that's a wrap for this episode of City of Brotherly Law. I'm Tom Bosworth, reminding you that in Philly, we don't just practice law, we live it, we breathe it, we fight for it every day. This city was built on grit and determination. That's exactly how we approach justice. That's how we approach cases. Join us next time for more straight talk and legal insights from the heart of Philadelphia. Until then, stay tough and keep it real, Philly.